Welcome to the Mindset Mirror Connection podcast. In today's episode, we're going to talk about how to build that booty. Yes, there's such an obsession with big butts out there on social media. We're going to give you the lowdown on how to build a beautiful round booty. So if you're ready, listen up and lean in as we elevate your mind and your booty.
That's true.
Elevate that booty. Get it a little high.
I saw one time my client, she walked into the gym. I was like, your booty looks very derriere today. And she's like, what? I'm like, oh, derriere. I don't even know what that means, but well,
we love it.
Who doesn't want a derriere?
Right. People are so obsessed. So we're going to talk about that. But first, let's chat. I have something to say. You know, you have two types of friends. Friends that'll pick you up from the airport and friends who won't. So thank you, Amanda, for being a friend to pick me up from the airport after a emergency weekend. Yes. Obviously, I was gone. I was in Mexico, and we had a dog sitter who then Saturday morning, today's Monday, said, hey, Brooklyn's back legs aren't looking so good. I'm like, yeah, you know, sometimes she struggles. I just thought it was normal. And then
had this person dog sat for you before?
No, but her sister had.
Okay.
Her sister has forever. So then though, and I was like, oh, it's fine. You know, she's just an old lady. But then she sends me a picture. Brooklyn's back legs aren't working at all. And she's peed on herself 3 times. And I'm like, oh my God, she's dying. So I try to get the fuck out of Mexico, and there are no flights, 0 flights. And it's 9 p.m. Mexico time. My flight doesn't leave till 4 p.m. the next day. And I'm like, really? Not one flight? I went on Delta, United, Mexican Airline, like whatever it is. Yeah. I don't know. They're
Aero Mexico or whatever.
Yeah. Aero Mexico, nothing. And so Melissa happened to be in downtown Phoenix, but she lives in Litchfield Park. So I was like, hey, because I was just going to ask her because the dog sitter was going to take the dogs to my mom's.
Okay.
And Melissa's like, well, I'll just go get them and take them to your mom's. I was like, okay, thank you. Also a good friend. So then they went to my mom's, and Melissa came over, and she put a towel underneath Brooklyn's belly, and her legs they weren't working.
All
Not that she hind legs.
Yeah.
Back legs. So they had to pick her up and physically put her in the car. So same thing, you know, but then she gets to grandma's house and the legs start working. Yay. So legs start working. I mean, they're still wobbly. So Amanda, I had to ask for help. And I was like, in my brain, I'm like, this is, you know, what do I do? What do I do? And I'm like, you've got people. Ask for help. Remember, guys, we talked about this. Mm-hmm. So I texted you and I said, hey, this is what's going on. I didn't even ask for help. I just wanted to let you know in case I had to put her down, because that's where my brain was. I have to put her down. I'm not going to be able to podcast for the next 10 years. So find a new co-host. I'm going to go into a dark hole.
Mm-hmm.
Just kidding. And you offered to help. And then I text my brother because he's supposed to be out of town. I thought he was on vacation because like a long weekend. Mm-hmm. He's like, no, we got in last night. I was like, oh my God, can you please bring her to the animal hospital? So we got to the airport landed at the airport. You came and got us, took me to the ER. My brother met me there with the dogs, and we were there forever. They think it's her spine. They think that she has some sort of, it's called like IVDD. It's like degenerative disc. Yeah, it's like a degenerative disc thing. And they're like, well, you know, up her meds. So basically the same meds we already give her.
Yeah.
And see what happens. But I'm just glad I'm here. She's here. She's not doing great, but she's not doing as bad as I thought she was. And then we're at the ER. Oh my God, don't ever spend more time in a dog vet ER that you need to. People were bawling, and I was like, oh my God, they need my help. Like, Well, I think they had to put their dog down.
Oh,
And I was like, no. So Mark and I had to have a very serious conversation. I was like, okay, if we have to put her down, what do we want to do?
yeah.
So we had to talk about that, and we're going to put her down here once it happens, but
Yeah.
we don't know when that's going to happen. I don't know if it's this week. I don't know if it's this year or this decade. So,
Well, I have a former client who's a vet, and they do mobile services. So,
yeah, I need that.
And they do it in the home too.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So
yes,
FYI, that's an option.
They do mobile vet service in the home.
Yeah, like they'll so for example, like if you were like, they'll come to the home and do vaccinations or check on the dog and stuff like that, or they'll do.
I should have texted you that night. I would have had them come here.
Yeah, I don't want to say like euthanasia, but whatever it's called.
It's called euthanasia.
Is it called youth? Like I don't like the real term.
Yeah,
so,
it sucks.
Yeah, they'll do that in the home too. So
yeah, but she's surviving. But thank you for being a good friend.
You're welcome. Well, that's it. Like I said, there was a time in my life where I took an Uber to the airport, and it was horrible because he was chatty with me, and it was like at a time where it was like, I just don't want to chat. So that's why whenever I have somebody like a friend that has a situation that's happening, it's like, I will pick you up. We don't have to chat. I can put on music. We can chat. I can tell you everything that you want to know. Like, you tell me what you need and you do that, because that one situation like forever plays in my brain, and I wouldn't want anybody else to go through that.
This is kind of morbid, but I was listening to a podcast with Ron Goldman's sister, like the guy that was not Ron Goldman, the guy that was murdered with OJ's wife. I think his name was Ron Goldman.
I think it is Ron Goldman.
Yeah. And she was saying like she had to fly from like San Francisco to LA, like knowing her brother was killed, and like get on a flight.
Yeah.
And then like the flight's delayed, and you're just sitting there like, I just want to be with my family. Like, get me off of this. And she was telling a story about like how, I think it was the taxi driver, was like,
it's just like,
are you guys going on vacation? Yeah, because everyone's like, oh, you're going on vacation. Yeah. She just didn't say anything. So,
So Ron Goldman and you can relate. So, or her sister,
like a sister.
That's it's tough. It's tough.
I don't know why there's not an emergency like plane service. Can I get an emergency service, please? I don't think my dog being sick is an emergency if you're going to have a plane service for that, but I think it should be.
I think nowadays it could be.
Well, I looked up chartering a private jet, $40,000 charter a private jet. And Amanda goes, we need to do more podcasting.
We are really slacking. Because I was telling, because Michael and I were hanging out yesterday, and I was telling him like just about what was happening. And I told him about the private jet, and he's like, well, it's like $10,000 an hour, like usually. And I was like, oh my God.
I wonder how much Howie spent then from New York to Vegas. Jesus.
Well, yeah, but mind you, it's probably a shorter flight in general.
That's true.
So let's chat GPT that. How much is a private jet?
It's funny because one of my goals this year is to get on a private jet.
That'd be great.
Me. Yeah.
Well, you can come within like the next 2 months though.
No, I'll do it after you have a baby. Okay. So maybe next year. Well, it's on my vision board. And I was like, is this how we go on the private jet? Is I have to rush home for my dog?
That sucks. Here. So it can cost anywhere from 30 to 50K.
Yeah. Well, it's 41,000 from Cancun to Phoenix.
Gosh.
I was like, Mark,
what does the books look like?
Yeah. Like, we have all this money in savings. Yeah. Anyway. So Cancun was fun. It was a lot of people. Yeah.
How many people were there?
21.
Oh, that's a lot of people.
Yeah. Lots of people, lots of personalities.
That's what I was going to say. A lot of opportunity there for.
Oh my God. So much opportunity.
There's a lot of opportunity in multiple fields of service. We'll put it
yes. Yes, correct. But Mark and I had fun that we stayed at the Haven Riviera. Highly recommend Cancun. It is 10 or like 15 minutes from the airport. But it's, I would say 7 of those minutes, maybe 10 of those minutes are you driving from the main road to where the hotel is because it's so secluded.
Oh, really?
And yeah, it was great. Like there was no one on the beach because the next hotels are so far away.
Yeah.
It was beautiful. The food was fine, like whatever.
It was all you can eat. All you could, yeah.
Yeah.
Or not
We
all
had
you can eat, but all inclusive.
We had swim out. So we had our own pool. Apparently we had a butler, but I don't know where ours was. I was like, oh, okay. But yeah, it was good. I got a good tan.
How come? So did you mostly stay at the hotel then?
Yeah.
Okay.
We only went out one day and it was annoying. So we went back.
Yeah.
Yep. So yeah. What'd you do this weekend?
Friday I went to pelvic PT. She said I'm doing really great. So that was nice. And then Saturday, a couple girlfriends, like one girlfriend came over and then she left and then another girlfriend came over and just like to catch up and hang out. And then yesterday I hung out in the pool and then went and picked you up and that was it.
Yay.
Yay. I know. Very quiet.
So I was reading some research on menopause.
Oh, yeah.
Like the Menopause Society in the North American and the UK. And it is now suggested that any personal trainer have a pelvic floor assessment in any personal trainer who is training women.
Really?
So we are going to implement that in our program immediately.
I could see that because so you have to if you work out already, you tend to have a tighter pelvic floor. And then we were told to do Kegels and then breathing is a huge thing. And then leaking, so peeing your pants, like that could be a pelvic floor issue. And that happens prior to pregnancy, during pregnancy, postpartum, through menopause.
Hysterectomy.
And then hysterectomy. And then also you think of like our women who complain about like the lower belly pooch, like usually that's a breathing and activation issue, which could be a pelvic floor thing. So yeah, I
even think like a lot of my clients have like back pain, like lower back pain.
That could be a pelvic floor issue.
So for clients listening, we're going to be putting together a screening, whether you're a new client or existing client. You and I screen for it, but it's usually just through conversation. But we're actually going to implement.
Yeah. I think what would be valuable too, this is going to sound tacky is not the right word, but kind of sketchy, is for them to send pictures specifically of like their belly too. Because you'll be able to tell a lot just by like how their belly looks. And so like, for example, upper ab gripping or like downward pressure and whatnot, there's like a certain aesthetic that tends to happen.
Yeah. So I also learned that pelvic floor, supporting your pelvic floor, especially in peri and postmenopause, can also support your gut. Yep. Very interesting. So
good for your menopause societies for preaching that. That's nice.
Yeah. Anyway, we'll talk all about that on our upcoming episode with Dr. Lee Lewis.
I know. That'll be good.
Yes. I think it's upcoming. Maybe it's behind us. Who knows?
Yeah. It's coming.
Yeah. So in other news, everyone's obsessed with butts.
Yes.
Like people are literally millionaires because they are like butt builders. Like our dude, Brent Contreras. I love him. I think he's so sweet and cute. And I just love his obsession with butts.
I have his program. It's okay. It's a lot of.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's everything we'll talk about today.
Yep.
So anyway, so there's a ton of people who are solely focused on butt building.
Yes.
And we brought this up because we haven't talked about it. And we get a lot of these questions, especially in our Facebook group about like, how do I not lose my butt, but I make my waist smaller? Or how do I build a butt and, lose body fat? And there's so many misconceptions about building any part of your body. But because we're female focused, we decided to talk about booties today.
The butt.
Yeah, which we'll be honest with you, neither of us have an issue building.
No, actually, mine has gotten plumper too because I really I know leading into pregnancy, I was really working on it. So,
yeah, Love that.
But
Uh,
keywords, I was working on it, not just like
or-
wishing for a butt.
yes. Well, and I want everyone out there to realize, if you haven't already, like Mark and I at the hotel were watching TV yesterday just because I didn't want to leave the room because I was upset about Brooklyn. And the Kardashians just were on the background. Like it wasn't something we were watching. But then I was like, and I was looking at their butts. I'm like, do people think those are real? They're not real.
Yes.
And anytime you see a girl with like this perfect butt, she's either got a Brazilian butt lift. There's one girl who promotes her butt, and you can tell she has butt pads in her leggings.
That's so misleading.
The way you can see it, like when she's moving. And then, if she has a really nice ass, you would expect her to be on her social media wearing like bathing suits that show not a single picture without the leggings.
I think that's a good point that you bring up too, though, is like when you see these pictures of the girls with the butt and like the thong swimsuit or whatever it is sometimes that's like posed too. So we have to be aware,
like cross leg thing.
Yeah. Like we have to be aware there is a reality of how to build a bigger butt, but there's also a reality of manipulation of the butt based on like surgery or how they're posing or like the outfit that they're wearing, especially like those fucking scrunchy pants now that are like scrunchy
in their butthole.
Yeah, like that is obviously good. It does look like their butthole is expanding now that I think about that.
Yeah.
But like you have to understand, like that's going to change the visuals of what you see too. Like it doesn't.
They also have like contouring in the pants, so it's like lighter right around the butt and then darker. It's ridiculous. But yes, remember that. And then the third thing is, yes, like you just said, there is a way to do it. It's going to take time. It's going to take a lot of time.
Yes.
And so I just wanted to put that disclaimer out there because you are not going to look like these girls. They are, honestly, I mean, most of them, their asses are fake.
Yes.
So I follow a girl who I follow for like food advice, like around the valley. But then she did her like, watch my, you know how they talk?
Journey of butt growth.
No, it was like, follow me as you see my, what is the word? Not adventure, but like journey. Follow me to see my Brazilian butt lift journey. And I'm like, God. No, I don't want to. No, thank you.
Well, and I think you brought up another good point there too. Because you had said like, you won't look like these girls. Because I do see that a lot with clients and inquiries in our Facebook group is just, how do I get myself to look like X person? And you have to realize like their body type might be so different and their training might be so different. Like you really don't know the backstory. So why don't we focus on getting your butt in a better way that suits you and makes you more confident and is sustainable for you too.
Right.
Like, and then we have to learn how to accept how that is and how that looks for everybody on an individual basis.
Yeah. Well, and people will literally in our Facebook group take a picture of themselves in leggings, be like, I want to focus on this area. And I'm like, oh my gosh. Like, even if we did the protocols we're going to talk about today, that area will improve, but it's not going to be this like bubble that comes out. Right. So,
well, I would equate it to like the cardio to burn the cookie doesn't go like straight to the cookie. It just burns the overall count. Like it doesn't. You can specifically like spot train, because they talk about like, how do I spot lose or whatever. Yeah. But like at some point your muscle development is just what it is. And also it depends on like what exercises you're using in order to spot train as well.
Oh yeah. So this is going to be fun because there's some dumbass exercises out there. Like I see these girls at the gym, like Mark laughs. Like when my husband's laughing at what you're doing in the gym, like,
oh god,
you got a problem. So first thing, I think we start with nutrition first, because I think that is the piece that people miss, or they think this nonsense. I can't tell you guys how many times I see questions like in our Facebook group or on Instagram of, I want to lose my belly pooch and build my butt. And I'm like, okay, are you ready to get very uncomfortable for a while and then cut for a while because that's how it works. It's not, you're not going to have 6-pack abs and build a butt at the same time. It will never happen. It's physiologically almost impossible. You could get some newbie gains in a deficit, but for most people, that is not possible because in order to build lean body mass, you gotta fucking eat food.
Yeah.
So we're not even just talking maintenance, y'all. We're talking in a surplus.
Well, and this is like, are you truly even eating at maintenance consistently too? Because most people, I'll say, most are eating below maintenance in hopes of losing body fat, but then wishing for the butt, or like you said, maintaining the butt. And so then it's like, okay, well now, first of all, we got to realize how much you can eat in order to maintain just body weight, which now there's a mind fuck there. Now we're going to go into a surplus, which is going to change your body composition. And you're also going to feel fuller, which you've been trying to avoid and what you've been like putting in your head of like, this is not good. This is not good. So,
and the scale's going to go up.
And you need to be having carbs, which means the scale is already going to go up just because of carbohydrate, as we've talked about before. So your body's going to hold on more water. So,
and you're going to have protein. So you're going to feel really full.
Yeah.
Going to get uncomfortable, babies.
This is where the beauty of, and I know I say this all the time, but really the beauty of like hiring the coach, because one, programming wise, as we'll talk about, there's specific things programming wise that we need to be doing. But two, getting into this mindset of like, I'm eating more than I need to be. I'm intentionally going to be getting weight gain. That's a really big mind fuck. And then also if you have this like aversion to carbs or certain foods, like to get most carbs, like white rice is going to do you good, right? Like it's very calorically dense, not a lot of bang for your buck. And it's so if we're already like, no, I don't have that. Well, now we need other strategies to be able to get into that surplus and then also push ourselves to continue to stay in it.
Yeah. And just for you guys listening, some tips that I would give you is, looking at, low volume, high calorie, nutrient dense foods, right? So exactly what you're saying, because you'll, maybe for a lot of you, you've been in a cut most of your life. So you've eaten all the non-fat, the low fat dairy, the lower cut meats or the leaner meats. And when you want to get into a surplus, the easiest way to do that without increasing volume, meaning the amount of food, is change from chicken breast to chicken thighs, add the olive oil, add the salmon, add the whole eggs, add the whole milk, dairy, if you can tolerate it. So, but you will live in a surplus, and we're going to live there for 12 weeks. That's where I would start, see how your body responds. But you're probably going to cycle in this surplus, slight deficit maintenance for a while. I'm talking like years that I've seen clients that this was solely their focus. It's years, not months.
Well, and it's 12 weeks of consistency too, not like 12 weeks, oops, scale went up 2 pounds, I'll cut. If to lose the 2 pounds, then I'll go back to the surplus. There's not like a yo-yo that's going on here. There's a well-planned item. And you know what's so interesting? I was listening to, do you ever listen to the Stronger by Science podcast?
I had before, but not.
Yeah. They're pretty deep in the university like studies world, but they had one recently that was talking about cutting and bulking. And he said, if there's like his advice was, if there is no timeline, like there's no, like you don't have a wedding in 6 months, or you're just kind of interested in doing these phases, is that you should bulk as long as you possibly can. And I was like, oh, like, and he's like,
hey,
yeah, like why we need to be in this maintenance surplus is to at least be giving our body the energy to build the additional muscle to create this look you're going for. If we don't have that energy, then your body's essentially running on an empty gas tank of just trying to keep up, or it's in that fat loss phase. So again, that's why we need to be at least at maintenance or in the surplus.
Yep, absolutely. And it's going to be uncomfortable, like we said, and you don't eat like an asshole. Like that, I'm fucking tired. Also, people will be like, well, I'm in a surplus, I'll just go to McDonald's every day. No. I mean, let's think. Okay, so think about this. Like, if you eat McDonald's every day, how the fuck? Think about the butt that a McDonald's butt is. Probably not a great butt.
No.
Probably not a butt you want to wear your G-string bikini in.
Well, and to be like in an intentional maintenance surplus is not a reason to be like having more indulgences. Like if you are traveling and maybe need to get McDonald's because that's what's available, that's one thing. But it doesn't mean like, well, I'm like, I need 200 calories today, so I might as well have like the chunk cookies every day. And it's like, well, yeah, but also your body's going to have more of a outcome long term, like by having like more natural foods. Also, what are you teaching yourself to? You know?
Right. Well, I mean, there's just so many things with processed foods, you know, the inflammation, the gut health struggles. We have to realize that in an effort to build muscle, we need vitamins and minerals that come from our foods, not just your macronutrients, your micronutrients. And so if you're not getting those things, then your body's just like, cool, thanks for the extra calories. I'm going to turn this into fat.
Right.
So that is important. So when it comes to nutrition, maintenance to surplus, consistent surplus for 12 weeks check-in or longer, eating, you know, a good percentage of that, I would say 80 to 90% whole foods, focusing on getting enough carbohydrates in. We are not skipping carbs in this case because we obviously want to give the body the energy it needs, and increasing protein intake, which is going to ultimately help build muscle. When my clients when they go into a building phase, we're at a higher protein intake than the standard average that I usually do, which is 1 gram per goal body weight or current body weight. So I'll have them go higher than that at that time. So that's a little bit on nutrition. Let's talk about exercise because, again, listen to me. Listen. The fucking Stairmaster is not where you're going to build your ass. What in the actual fuck? Who made this up?
I don't know. And then they do the kickback thing on the Stairmaster. I'm like, what are you doing? But also that's cardio, FYI. That's why you don't want to do that, because it's cardio. And cardio does not build your butt.
Yeah, it breaks it down.
So put it this way, actually even better. If you're doing a leg day / butt day, and then you go on the Stairmaster to do a finisher, quote, 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 for your butt, you just negated everything you did.
Yeah, I mean.
And then if you're not eating enough, well, it didn't negate everything. But, and then on top of that, if you're not eating enough, you really fuck yourself.
Stop you doing the Stairmaster. Build your butt. If you want to build your cardiovascular health, go right ahead. If you're a firefighter and you want to be able to climb upstairs, go ahead. It's not going to build your butt. Like, sorry. So I have been asked by multiple people how my husband's butt is so round and juicy. And so, yeah, he makes fun of the fact that he is, it's me on the Stairmaster with my band, my booty band. No. A surprise, everyone. It's compound lifts. Yes, we can do some glute focus things. But more importantly, I want you guys to think about it this way. Like, what do I want to change in my body? And then we create programming that the majority of your programming is focusing on that area with rest in between, right?
Say that again, please. Just to
So whatever the body part, whether it's your butt, your back, your core, we need to have the majority of our training be focused on that area. So say that you work out 4 days a week. We want to have at least, I would say, 2.5 days. So, or you could even program some sort of glute exercises into even an upper day. So let me explain that. So your 2 lower days, we'll talk about glutes. The 2 lower days are going to have glute focused workouts or exercises. But then on your 2 upper days, I might have you do like a glute bridge hold with a chest press. I might have you do, a single leg deadlift with a row or something like that. I don't normally program like that just because I like singular movements. But if we have one goal and that's our goal, but we still want to get a little upper movement in, I will also add in the lower body type of isolation movements or something like that.
Here's how I would do it too, is sometimes like if I have a client who say they go to the gym, usually our clients go 2 to 3 days a week. Mm-hmm. So I'll do 2 full body days. There's glutes in there. Sometimes I'll sub out, like if we're not really focusing on chest, like maybe I'll add an extra glute focus in there. Mm-hmm. But then on the third day is a focus day for the body part we're looking for. So glute specifically.
Love it.
So still getting your 2 full body days, because we don't want to neglect the rest of their body just for the butt. Because that's, again, we have to think of the shape of the body too. And you talk about this a lot really well, is like the hourglass figure. So we need like a strong back and a strong upper body to kind of contour the lower part of the body.
Yep.
But then again, now adding that third day that's specifically focused on the one area, or maybe 2 areas. Like I've had clients who want to focus on butt and then triceps. Like, okay, that's great. But we're not doing like 18 things. We're doing 3 movements and 3 movements.
Thank you.
Yes.
Yes. People are like, look at this workout I put together. I'm like, why are you doing 18 things? You're going to fatigue the muscle at a certain point. Like it's pointless. I'll do little finishers and things for my clients just because they enjoy them. They like the challenge. But honestly, really, again, finding those movements that are the most bang for your buck, which are your compound movements. Hip thrusts are probably the most popular. Glute bridge. So just real quick, the difference on the two, you can do a glute bridge with a barbell, but your back is on the ground. And then the hip thrust, your back is up against like the bench or the box. So you're a little bit more elevated and increases the range of motion. I just want to say that because people get those confused. Both are very necessary. But glute bridge and the hip thrust is going to focus on, obviously, your glutes. Secondary would be your hamstrings, right? Even core. Like when I'm doing a heavy fucking hip thrust, oh my God, my abs are like,
well, here's the other thing too with these movements is, are you actually feeling it in the butt too? Like we can say it's primarily butt and hamstring, but if you're not feeling it in the butt, then we've got to address that too.
Well, what would you suggest, like placement wise, to help them with that?
Well, there's like with the hip thrust in general is watch where your feet are. So play around with that. But also if you're just using a lot of momentum to get the bar thrusted up, then we need to back off the weight and go slower too. This is where I do like hip bridge. And so like, because I feel like you can put your hands on your butt a lot easier, obviously, than holding onto the barbell. So hands on butt, do I feel it in my butt? No. Okay, well, we need to work on that and kind of doing that throughout the day or maybe on our recovery days. So that way we can start
and warm up.
Yeah, and start creating kind of that connection between your brain and the signal that you're trying to send.
Your brain and your butt. Other things are deadlifts, of course. What's your favorite booty deadlift variation?
Sumo, actually.
Me too. I love a sumo. Like, get in there. I feel like in a sumo, I'm like really creating more of the under, like my lower.
Yeah, the perk.
It's like the contour, but I mean, your Romanian deadlift is going to help more on the hamstrings, but definitely still building your glutes. Your traditional deadlift will also help as well. And surprising, people think, oh, squats are for quads. You can definitely build your booty squatting, because my husband actually can't deadlift. His back's just not where it needs to be. And he sees someone for that. And his ass is so fucking round. And he squats, actually has squats and hip thrusts. So what are your favorite squat variations?
I like to do like a box squat, because I feel, so you can do like a regular squat, but I feel like a lot of times we end up using the quads more so than focusing on the butt. Like it takes the extra effort to say, no, I either need to slow down or lighten the weight or change the modality. But box squats is nice because you can get on the box and you're not plumping on it. And it could be a bench too, but then you're thinking butt as I come up off of it. And that's where I notice the most benefit.
Yes. I love a box squat. Bulgarian split squats, everyone's favorite. I actually love them.
I like them.
I mean, again, it's just one of those movements where I'm like, yeah, I feel that, baby.
Yeah, and I would say with the Bulgarians, even taking a slight lean in your waist, that's going to help you feel more of a butt as opposed to a quad.
Yeah, same with like a lunge. You can lean forward, or even with the step ups, right? So you can lean forward in the step up where our chest is almost perpendicular to our quad, I guess it would be, right? I'm thinking of, it depend on the height, of course. But the other thing I like with the step up is the reverse. So we're actually stepping up quickly and then slowing down the descent. So really slowing it down. You can hold on to like the rack or a cable machine wherever you're at. That again is a killer. The other thing with a step up is you can actually extend the back foot. So you can make the back foot step ups. You could do too. Like you can do like kettlebell, you could do a dumbbell, you could do I love a cable step up. That's a beast. The other thing I like, if you do have access to a gym, is like a single leg glute press, leg press. You can manipulate the way your foot is on the pad and really get into the glutes there. So everything we're talking about though is some sort of resistance, and not just resistance, because you see a lot of people doing like the booty bands. That'll get you nowhere fast.
No, actually, it's so funny. As a gal that I used to know in Amarillo, she studies like exercise science, and her team actually did a study on the bands, noticed and reported that they were ineffective for additional gains.
Yeah.
Oh shit! Good for her.
I will add bands to manipulate. I'm going to use that word 10 times today. Where my clients' like knees are,
yes,
or their alignment of their femurs, right? Just we'll put a band in, but it's more to make sure that their form is correct, so that if their alignment is correct, then we know hopefully they're initiating the right, or activating the right muscle. So that is definitely something I will do. But what else? Any other movements that you like? I like a kickback, but on a cable.
Yeah, like if we're gonna do like some maybe isolation stuff, like so again, I would use this on a different day, like on my recovery days, just like a little kind of prep my booty, make it plump. I would not do this. Like I would not do a box squat. I would not do a good morning, and then I would not do a hip thrust, and then I would not do a cable kickback with a donkey kick with a fire hydrant.
Correct.
Like, I would not do any of that. But if I just like kind of want to, maybe I'm having an off day from the gym, or maybe I'm traveling for a week or something like that, then I like the clamshells. I like a kickback. I like a fire hydrant, or I like a donkey kicks, or even like a single leg toe touch. That you're taking slowly. But again, those are kind of more accessory stuff as opposed to the biggest bang for your buck and efficiency of what you're looking for.
Yeah. I would add on we'll call them heavy days versus light days, because you're talking more like trigger sessions that are just going to give you the pump, right? And that would be one of your like mobility or light days. I love the GHD, like hyperextension, as well as the 45-degree hyperextension as well with a weight. No, those get it. The thing about cable kickbacks is most people are overextending. So they are going into this like, ballerina arabesque movement and totally fucking their hip flexors. So we really want to keep the range of motion pretty small. Like we're not stretching the hip flexor. We're trying to activate the glute. So really the kick usually is like a 90-degree off, even 45 degrees.
Yeah. It's not as like, I feel like what you said, like these people are doing it as in like a dance move, but it's not as eloquent as that. It's just literally, do I feel it in my butt as I'm bringing my leg back?
Well, and we both torn our labrums. I mean, when you do your PT for a labral tear, it's a lot of glute work. And to not re-injure myself and try to build my glutes at the same time, there's a lot of very small movements that I was doing a lot bigger before. So I can definitely say I did that same thing. few other things. So for your isolations, you talked about clamshells, kickbacks, fire hydrants, donkey kicks. I love a reverse hyper on like the bench.
Mhm.
So your chest is on the bench. You're kind of hugging the bench. Your
Oh,
feet
yeah,
are
yeah.
in that clam position. And we're basically lifting our feet off the ground and
Yes.
up into the bench. So what that looks like, of course, we talked about this before, is we're not just doing these 10-pound weights. Like you need to challenge yourself
Mhm.
weight wise and focus on progressive overload. What is that again?
Changing the stimulus, whether it's by reps, sets, timing, the exercise, weights. What else did I forget? Anything?
Balance.
Balance.
Unilateral.
Yes, unilateral versus bilateral.
Yeah. So again, all the rules apply that we've talked about before of, continuing to push the weight. I mean, that is, if you watch any of these videos of like Brent Contreras, like those chicks are pushing heavy heavies,
Yes.
not just on their hip thrusts, on their squats. He does do a lot of kickbacks, but he also just does some like longer stride lunges. That's the word. Longer stride lunges. So your lunge stride is longer, as it sounds, and you're also leaning forward. But those girls they're doing like 3 on each side, because they're really focusing on heavy weights. We're going to have, a 4 to 8 week phase, right? Or cycle, as we call it. And we want to work in all phases of training. So what we're talking about is you do have your strength, which is going to be your lower reps, higher weights. Then we can go into a hypertrophy to really help develop the muscle, the way that it looks. That's going to be we'll call it 8 to 12 range. And then we also want to increase the endurance of the muscle. So then we'll go into like 12 to 20 reps and kind of phasing through that. And I would say, for me, I hate endurance training. I think we both do. Yeah. And so I'll probably live in the strength phase for the majority of the cycle. So say that I create a cycle for myself. Okay, in 6 months, I want to increase my butt circumference by 1 to 2 inches. These are these are things that I want you guys to be thinking about too. Like, what's a realistic goal? Like, I want to increase my, my hip circumference by 1 to 2 inches. I'm going to look at that 6 months and say, okay, probably for the majority of that 6 months, I'm going to be in the strength part of it. So say I do a strength every other month for 4 weeks, then I'll pop in the hypertrophy and the endurance probably 2 out of the 4 months because I hate it. So that's just me though. Anything else for training?
Well, I would say the frequency over the inconsistency too. So like, say for example, maybe they don't like the strength portion, but they like the 15 to 20 range. That's fine. There's going to be a trade-off for either way that you go of the sets and rep range. However, you have to do this consistently. So we need a consistent program that focuses on glutes, whatever that looks like. And if you're only going once a week, you're going to see it's going to take you longer to make the progress. Now, if you're going every day, that's a different story too, because now you're overtraining. Right. So again, focusing 2 to 3 days a week, maybe 4, and having a well-structured thing for a duration of time too. Don't just be like, well, I don't know, I've been doing it for 6 weeks. Like you said, it's 12 weeks, it's months, 6 months at least. And that's how long you have to look at this progress that you're trying to see.
Yeah. So, and we're great transition because I want to talk about progress and how your body changes. Yeah, this is a struggle for clients, but my clothes are getting tighter. I'm like, well, yeah, you wanted a bigger butt.
Yeah.
Now could your butt get smaller doing this just because it's, maybe we've lost some body fat and increased lean body mass. I mean, that is the goal. Of course, that would be 2 different focuses that we would do. It'd put you in the surplus and then maybe have a micro or mini like deficit to help that. But what's going to happen is your pants are going to get tighter.
Yep.
You're fuller, and you're going to think I've gained weight, because anytime pants get tighter, we think I've gained weight. I hear this a lot, even like in quads, right? Where their quads look amazing, but they're fuller. And the clients are freaking out. And I'm like, your quads look great. And so that can be a mind fuck for people, that they are feeling like their clothes are tightening.
Right. Well, and that's like, okay, so then if you don't want your clothes tighter, but we need to then discuss what changes physically are happening, and then either modify those or come to the reality. And this is where I think, again, having a coach is really beneficial, because like for my clients, I tell them, like, then you just need to buy new clothes, because I'm not going to have this battle with you every single week of how they're fitting differently when you do your progress pictures, because usually progress pictures are in their like swimsuits and whatnot, when we can see these positive changes that you've been looking for. But now you put on your clothes, like, just buy the new clothes. Stop trying to fit into the skinny jeans when the skinny jeans didn't work for you and gave you a flat butt. Now you have a perky butt.
Right. Well, and when you're taking progress photo, please take them in something like a swimsuit.
Yes.
It is so hard. I know she's listening. I have a client that does not want to, but then complains about the area I can't see. And I'm like, I don't know what to do here, because I can't see it. And you have a bias that when you look at it, it's not great. But if I looked at it and said, look at the difference here, here, and here, you'd probably feel a lot better about it. So anyway, the other thing too is, we kind of already touched on this, like, you're going to eat more food, maybe for the first time, right? You've talked about your experience with surplus.
Yeah,
like,
it was really hard. It was awful.
Yeah. Well, and a lot of people, they don't realize. I had a client, and I have to remind her often, like, our goal is not losing weight.
Right.
That's not our goal right now. Like, you have to remind yourself that the scale might go up, you guys. You may even see an increase in body fat. Not that much if we're doing this correctly, meaning we're not eating like an a-hole. That might happen. And for us as coaches, we're always having this conversation with our clients. You all know how to lose weight, right? But you don't know how to build the body of your dreams. Those are two very different things. So let the experts help you build the body of your dreams, and just trust the process, because you might see some gain in weight on the scale. You will see a little bit of body fat increase, but the good news is we know how to cut. Right. And when we're ready to cut, we'll cut you.
Right.
And the cut's not going to be that cut that you normally do because you're freaking out and course correcting. The cut will simply just be, I would do very conservative if need be. But yes, we talked about progress and progress photos. Measurements is a good way to see progress as well. Even like a DEXA scan will show you kind of the increases in different areas of your body of lean body mass, which is nice. But the scale during this time I wouldn't even get to step on it, to be honest with you.
No.
I would just look at how I feel, and progress photos, measurements, maybe DEXA, because the scale's going to fuck your mind up.
Yeah, I had to not get on the scale. I'm looking at my measurements too, from when I was building my butt. Yay. And so I started at 36.5 inches, and it got up to, let's do it before pregnancy, 37.5.
Nice.
And that was 6 months. So I like an inch over 6 months is what I gained.
Yeah.
So that's pretty.
It's not uncommon.
Yeah. But it looks significantly different too. So that's where your measurements play a role, because you could say an inch, that's it. But then when I look at the pictures, at the side by sides, significantly different, because an inch looks much different. Like, think of waist measurements. Losing an inch off your waist is pretty significant as well. So again, like different clothing sizes and styles too. So one thing, fortunately nowadays, is the clothing styles are a lot more opportunistic, where they do have a larger butt and like thigh pocket, I guess, or like material, and the waist is more trimmed in. So yeah, so say you like usually buy a size 16, but at this other store you have to get an 18. That's not really the problem, or not the problem, but that's not really something you should compare. It's more so of, are you needing new ones, but the waist needs to be brought in more too.
Oh yeah.
Because that's exciting.
Yeah. No, I was actually just thinking about it. I did actually focus on my glutes earlier this year. And this, I mean, the way my butt sits is insane. Like the before and afters is insane, just because I increased my focus, because I wasn't necessarily in a cut. I increased the amount of glute work that I did. And I was pleasantly surprised on how, because mine is always my glute fold. So where my hamstrings and glute meet, there was always that issue in that area. And it definitely changed the way that my butt sat in the bathing suit. But anyway, we want to make sure to diet break. We want to make, or I'm sorry, deload, excuse me, and maybe diet break if you're in a deficit, but that would be not what we're talking about. Plateaus will happen. Building muscle takes time. If you've ever asked a man, like if you've ever had a man in your life trying to get big and buff, they're not doing it overnight. So nor will you, right? And like we talked about, do not go on social media and follow all the girls who built the big butt. Like I follow this guy. I don't know his name. It's like Ryan Swab or something like that. I don't think that's his name, because I actually like the work he does. And he talks about it. He's like, this took her 10 months to do, you know? And he'll show before and afters of like the work they did, and she had to eat more. And I mean, you can follow people like that. Brent Contreras is a great person for that. Just remember, a lot of the models, the gals in his booty lab or glute lab are professionals. They're like IH, like pro card gals. Just really avoid that comparison, because you don't know if it's butt pads, Brazilian butt lift, some other weird thing they got in another country.
Or their job is literally to work out and
Correct.
be like a fitness professional too.
Yeah.
So there's that. Or finances too, because obviously, like, so for example, we've mentioned a couple times the benefit of hiring a trainer in this episode, but for some people that financially is out of the scope of practice. So realize like it could take you a little bit more trial and error, you know, if you don't really have that, if you don't have the opportunity for that guidance. Now, I would beg to differ. There are plenty of opportunities for the guidance, just depending on how you want to get it. But that's something to consider as well. And also like consistency. So again, if you can only realistically go to the gym once a week, which is totally fine, we support that. Just realize it's going to take longer than the gal who's going 3 times a week, focusing on that consistency of building her butt as well.
Absolutely. Good. Awesome. Anything else?
No.
All right, good. Well, if you guys like this information, we'd love for you to subscribe to our YouTube channel. If you're following this on YouTube at The Mindset of Matter, or if you're listening to this on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, please subscribe to the channel, follow us, and give us a review. We love reviews, 5 stars preferably. And if you'd like to write something nice, that helps the algorithm get us out to more people. If you'd like to follow us on social media, you'll find the team at The Mindset of Matter. The Instagram is Mindset of Matter Coaching. Amanda's at fitbyamanda.az. And if you're interested in coaching with us, please check out the Clarity Call link below. That'll set you up with one of us to discuss coaching and working with our amazing team. We have amazing professionals, hormone specialists, gut health specialists, women who themselves have lost over 100 pounds and kept it off with PCOS, with their own struggles. Like, these are the real deal. And they all have some sort of education in psychology, or they wouldn't be on the team. So that is that. But if you only want to walk away with one thing and just keep a flat booty, remember this.
What you say in the mind.
You see in the mirror. Goodbye.